expose why some people drain your energy. Imagine waking up every day with a heart full of energy, a mind at peace, and a soul thriving in happiness. Now, think about the people in your life. Do they lift you up or leave you drained? In a world where we're constantly giving to others, how often do we take a moment to protect our own energy? Today, we're going to uncover the hidden forces that drain your spirit and explore how you can reclaim your power, protect your joy, and live a life that fills you with peace and fulfillment. Stay with me, because your happiness begins now. We all know people who leave us feeling exhausted after a conversation. You may not immediately realize it, but these individuals are what we call energy vampires. They have a unique ability to drain your mental, emotional, and even physical energy without you even noticing it at first. These are the people who constantly seek attention, validation, or emotional support, but never seem to give anything in return. Over time, their presence can leave you feeling depleted, as if your energy was being siphoned away, leaving you struggling to reclaim your own sense of balance and happiness. Now, I want you to think about this. How many times have you been around someone who talks endlessly about their problems, but when it's your turn to share, they disappear into their own world? Or perhaps you've been in the presence of someone who only sees the negative, who can't seem to find a reason to smile or be hopeful. These are the energy vampires, the people who intentionally or unintentionally rob you of your joy, your happiness, and your inner peace. They prey on your good nature, your empathy, and your desire to help, but in the end they only leave you feeling drained. It's crucial to understand that you have the power to protect your energy. You deserve to feel uplifted, to feel vibrant, and to live a life that fuels your happiness. Take a moment and ask yourself, are the people around you lifting you up, or are they taking more than they give? Projecting insecurity, the subtle energy drain. Let's take a moment to reflect. How many times have you found yourself in a conversation with someone who constantly seeks reassurance? Someone who, no matter how much praise or encouragement you give, always seems to doubt their worth. This is what happens when insecurity takes center stage. Insecurity is a powerful force, one that can rob not only an individual's peace but also yours, especially when it's projected onto you. These individuals are often unaware of how much they demand from others. They look for constant validation because they feel unworthy, unloved, or uncertain of their own capabilities. They need you to constantly remind them that they matter, that they are enough. While it's human to need support, when this becomes a perpetual cycle, it becomes an emotional drain. The moment you step into the role of their emotional caretaker, constantly lifting them up and reassuring them, you're feeding into their insecurity, but it leaves you with little energy for your own needs. Now, I know you've felt it, that emotional exhaustion that comes from having to fix someone else's sense of self-worth. From repeatedly telling them they're doing fine when deep down you feel like you're losing a piece of yourself in the process. These are the subtle energy drains that go unnoticed until you realize how heavy it feels to always be the one offering comfort without receiving any in return. You deserve relationships that are balanced, where your energy isn't siphoned away by someone else's constant need for reassurance. You have the right to feel supported, uplifted, and appreciated. Relationships should be a source of joy, not emotional labor. Don't let someone else's insecurity dictate your happiness. Your energy is precious, and it's time you invest it wisely. The more you protect your own peace, the more space you'll create for a truly fulfilling and happy life. Constant negativity, a silent thief of joy. Take a moment to think about the people in your life, those you encounter regularly, whether in the workplace, among friends, or within your family. How many of them seem to find fault in everything? No matter the circumstances, there's always something that isn't quite right. The weather is too hot, the news is too depressing, the future is too uncertain. This constant negativity, though often unspoken, can quietly drain your happiness and energy. It's not just a simple annoyance, it's a force that can eat away at your peace of mind. When you're surrounded by negativity, it feels as if you're carrying a heavy weight, one that only gets heavier the more time you spend in it. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to stay hopeful when you're constantly confronted with someone else's bleak outlook on life? Their complaints and pessimism create an environment that's emotionally toxic, and before you know it, you begin to doubt yourself, your choices, and your ability to live a happy life. Negativity is contagious. Just as a single flame can light a room, a single negative perspective can infect an entire group, altering the energy in ways you don't even realize until it's too late. You start to feel drained, anxious, or even fearful, emotions that were never yours to begin with. The more you absorb this negativity, the less you're able to maintain your own joy, your own sense of fulfillment. Now think about your own happiness. What are you willing to sacrifice to preserve it? Is it worth keeping toxic negativity in your life? Or can you take the necessary steps to create a space where positivity thrives? You deserve to live a life filled with optimism, where joy is the default. Surrounding yourself with negativity only robs you of the energy needed to create a happy, thriving existence. Choose carefully where you invest your time and energy. It's the only resource you can't replenish once it's drained. Lack of boundaries, protecting your energy. Imagine a scenario where every time you try to carve out space for yourself, whether it's a moment of quiet reflection, time to focus on your goals, or simply a break to recharge, someone steps in and demands your attention. They call, text, or show up uninvited, expecting you to drop everything. Sound familiar? This is the reality of living without boundaries, and it can be a serious drain on your energy. When people ignore or trample on your personal limits, they don't just take your time, they take your emotional and mental resources as well. You might think that saying yes to every request or allowing others to constantly ask for your help is a sign of generosity or kindness, but in reality it can leave you empty, tired, and disconnected from your true needs and desires. Think about it. How often have you said yes to something out of obligation, only to find yourself resenting the time lost, the energy drained, or the joy stolen from your life? These situations are a reflection of an underlying problem, a lack of boundaries. Without healthy limits in place, it becomes impossible to protect your emotional, mental, and even physical space. You deserve to honor your own needs. You deserve the ability to say no without guilt and yes, only when it aligns with your well-being and happiness. By setting boundaries, you're not only preserving your own energy, you're also teaching others to respect your time, your space, and your peace of mind. Living without boundaries ultimately invites chaos, stress, and exhaustion into your life. But when you protect your energy, you create the space needed for happiness, fulfillment, and a life lived on your own terms. So ask yourself, where do you need to establish boundaries? How can you begin to reclaim your energy and protect your happiness? The power is in your hands. Victim mentality, breaking free from the chains of struggle. Have you ever encountered someone who always seems to be the victim in every situation? No matter what happens, they manage to cast themselves in the role of the one who's been wronged, who's struggling or who's suffering at the hands of others or fate. This mindset, known as the victim mentality, is more than just a pattern of thinking. It's an emotional weight that can drain your energy and rob you of your joy. People who consistently play the victim rarely take responsibility for their own actions, circumstances, or feelings. Instead, they externalize their struggles, looking for someone or something to blame for their dissatisfaction. Their lives are filled with stories of how others have hurt them, how things haven't gone their way, or how life is just unfair. In many cases, these individuals are unaware of how much energy they require from those around them. They draw others in, not only for sympathy but also for emotional support, leaving you to carry the burden of their perceived misfortune. As we go through life, it's inevitable that we will face challenges and setbacks. However, it's how we choose to approach these challenges that determines our sense of empowerment and happiness. When you constantly engage with someone who has a victim mentality, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain your own sense of optimism and joy. You may feel obligated to rescue them or try to fix their problems, but this only drains your emotional reserves, leaving you feeling drained, frustrated, or even hopeless. You have the right to live a life filled with empowerment, self-determination, and happiness. You do not owe anyone your energy if they are unwilling to take responsibility for their own actions or emotions. It's time to shift your focus back to yourself, reclaim your personal power, and free yourself from the weight of others' struggles. Your happiness depends on your ability to protect your energy and no longer be burdened by the constant cycle of victimhood. Emotional blackmail, breaking the cycle of manipulation. Imagine this. Someone in your life is constantly making you feel guilty for not meeting their needs. They play on your emotions, making you believe that if you don't give them what they want, whether it's time, attention, or support, you're somehow letting them down or not being a good friend, partner, or family member. This is emotional blackmail, and it can be one of the most draining and toxic dynamics in your relationship. Emotional blackmail is subtle, often disguised as a form of love or care, but it's really about control. The person using this tactic leverages your emotions, making you feel responsible for their happiness, well-being, or feelings of self-worth. They may use guilt, fear, or shame to manipulate you into doing things that you don't want to do, or that don't align with your own values. Over time, this takes a toll on your mental and emotional health. Instead of feeling joy in helping others, you begin to feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, worrying about how to meet their demands without upsetting them. It's exhausting to live in a cycle where your worth is tied to how much you can give and how much you can sacrifice for others. You might find yourself constantly prioritizing their needs over your own, losing sight of what truly brings you happiness and fulfillment. But here's the truth. No one has the right to hold your happiness hostage. Your time, energy, and emotional resources are yours to protect. You deserve to be in relationships where love and support flow freely, not under the condition of emotional manipulation. It's time to recognize when you're being emotionally blackmailed and take a step back. Set healthy boundaries, and remember, your happiness should never be negotiable. Protect your peace and let go of toxic patterns that threaten your well-being. You have the right to live a life free from manipulation and filled with authentic, joyful connections. Avoidance of personal responsibility, reclaiming your power. Have you ever been in a situation where someone you care about continuously avoids taking responsibility for their actions, leaving you to clean up the mess? Maybe they constantly shift the blame, make excuses, or deflect accountability, never owning up to the impact of their choices. This pattern, the avoidance of personal responsibility, is not only frustrating, but can also leave you feeling drained and powerless. When someone refuses to take responsibility for their own emotions, decisions, or behavior, it creates a dynamic where you're left picking up the emotional, mental, or even physical slack. Perhaps they make a mistake and expect you to handle the fallout. Or maybe they face challenges in life and expect you to offer constant solutions without ever acknowledging their part in the problem. Over time, this creates an unhealthy cycle where you end up giving more and more of yourself while they continue to take, never learning or growing from their own experiences. It's easy to fall into the trap of fixing things for others, especially when we care deeply about them. But when someone avoids responsibility, They are essentially telling you that their happiness, growth, and life choices are not their burden to bear. It's yours. This takes a toll on your own emotional energy, making it harder for you to focus on your own happiness and well-being. You deserve relationships that are built on mutual respect and accountability. You have the right to be surrounded by people who recognize their own role in shaping their lives, rather than relying on you to fix their problems. It's time to break the cycle. Recognize when you are being asked to take on someone else's burdens and gently set boundaries. Reclaim your power by focusing on what you can control: your own actions, decisions, and most importantly, your happiness. As we move through life, we encounter many individuals who, whether intentionally or not, drain our energy. From those who project insecurity onto us, to those who constantly harbor negativity, the emotional weight these people carry can slowly erode our own joy and well-being. It's crucial to recognize these draining patterns: victim mentalities, emotional blackmail, and a lack of personal responsibility, and take steps to protect our energy and happiness. By setting boundaries, reclaiming our power, and choosing to engage in relationships that uplift us, we empower ourselves to lead lives full of fulfillment, peace, and genuine happiness. Remember, your energy is one of your most valuable resources. Protect it fiercely. Surround yourself with those who inspire, challenge, and support you, not those who take from you without giving back. You deserve to live a life where your emotional and mental health are respected, and where your happiness is nurtured. Thank you for taking the time to reflect on these important truths today. As you move forward, remember that you have the power to shape the energy around you. May you continue to seek out relationships and environments that nourish your soul and contribute to your overall happiness. Good luck on your journey to a life full of wisdom, peace, and lasting joy. Keep protecting your energy, setting healthy boundaries, and making choices that align with the happiness you truly deserve. Thank you.